But I was part of this uh, group called Kairos, and they went into, and it's a national thing where it was part of a church, and they would go into Angola, and the one part is like you make all these cookies, you have to get all these cookies, and the prisoners have this Kairos experience where they get to, they talk about a lot, and this is one of the programs that really helped uh, kind of change Angola from the inside. With these Kairos sessions of these you be with these guys, and you be with them for a weekend, and they just talk about their relationship with God, and their life, their background, and they were just kind of given this free platform to talk about these things. On the other side, you have people coming in who are like volunteers, right? And so they're leading the team, they're leading the conversation. And in my car roads, it was predominantly predominantly white people that were going in these, and predominantly like professionals, that were affluent, and well off, and but they loved going in and listening to these conversations, and it was very much like these conversations, these one-on-ones were happening. And I mean, I ended up talking to this guy because if we were, the whole thing is that you have to make sure there's enough. These guys are always giving cookies, right? Like, and that's kind of what brings them in, because they're getting fresh cookies, and you don't get that obviously in prison. And so, I was kind of like the server because it was my first time, and I was, supposed to get all these cookies and just make sure that my table had it, and they had water or whatever. And I had kind of a co-server who was a prisoner, a lifelong prisoner, in Angola. And this guy, I mean, oh my goodness, like talk about a story. He was a hitman. He would talk about, the hits that he had, and he almost he got shot point blank and survived. And this was like an otherworldly story. And this guy was serving life, but he was also pastor at one of the Angola churches. They have several around there. And I mean, that impact that guy had on my life, just being able to have a side conversation with him, because we were both servers, and like, I mean, I talked with him the entire weekend. And where else could I ever get that experience of like talking to this guy who's, I think he was 60 at the time, he's served 35 years, in Angola. And so, and a lot of those volunteers had that same experience. And I think it's just eye opening, for people in the white community to be able to listen to the stories, because, it's so, like you said, I mean, art goes so far, but direct experience where you're having that heart to heart, you know, um, it's so much different in the effect that it has in your imagination and in your sense of the story, your characterization of another human being. Uh, they're all things that are affected by physical space of, and the physical heartbeat of another. So yeah, I mean, I'll send you more information about that. But that was maybe like the only place that I've seen where there was that really, like, I don't know. I think one of the hardest things about racism work is that it usually ends up one group is telling the other group, or like there's this kind of, I haven't seen a lot of mutual workings with racism groups.
I mean, I think that doing that work, brother, is it's not profitable, and that's
Yeah,
that's
literally.
that's
Yeah,
right, and that's why you haven't seen it, because like it's profitable to get these groups fighting, telling each other, fighting against each other, and
yeah,
disrupting each other. It always has been, and this country has always utilized that as like a means to create a little economy for itself one way or another. So like it makes sense that you don't see that around, because obviously that leads to a solution. And in order for like if that's not really what people want, is like the easiest way to say it. That's not
Mm.
really what the powers that be want. They don't want a solution to this problem. Regardless of what our mouthpieces are saying, I think it's patently obvious, based on the actions of our government officials, of I mean, people in the world around us. Like most people want to maintain what we have right now. I think most people are fearful of changing what we have right now, and I think that that's been the case, you know, through the generations in terms of this issue of race. Like there's been a very reluctance to change and to grow and to learn and to be curious and to move forward from where we are.